I told my dad to never speak to me again the day my son died. Plus update. Original post. My son of 32 weeks passed away very recently. We knew it was going to happen, so we invited our closest family to say goodbye to him at the hospital. I've always had a very difficult relationship with my dad, but I decided that this was an important thing for him to be a part of. I also needed someone who could take care of our 3-year-old son at home while we were at the hospital and I was giving birth to our stillborn son. He calls me the day before he arrives, asking when I expect to give birth. I tell him that I do not know exactly, since the birth is induced and it can take anywhere between hours to days for my body to react to the medication. He responds, "Well, I need to let my work know how long I'll be away, so I need a better time frame than that." I repeat myself as I literally do not know when I'll go into labor, but he keeps pressing me for a more precise answer with quotes like, "The hospital must know," and "Just ask a doctor, they will know," etc. In the end, my husband has to grab the phone and tell my dad to figure it out with his work. My dad then arrives with his girlfriend and is, throughout the entire day, extremely visibly distraught. I think to myself, wow, he really cares, and I feel incredibly bad for him. But I also notice some strange behavior from him. Throughout the 3 hours he was there, he just places himself in a corner in a complete zombie state. He doesn't once console me or my husband. He doesn't once take the initiative to go for a walk with our 3-year-old son or talk to him. He just sits there without a single word, and I have to handle my son while I am also trying to arrange paperwork with the hospital about my stillborn baby. The only thing my dad tells me that day is, "You should probably go home to your 3-year-old. He is very confused and he needs you." At this point, I had just given birth to my son 3 hours prior, and before that, had been hospitalized for bleeding. My dad then ends up walking out of the room and taking the elevator down. My husband, being a bit worried about him, follows and asks him what is going on. My dad then looks at him and says, "Girlfriend and I broke up." My husband doesn't react much other than telling him he is sorry. My husband also decides to keep it from me for the time being, because I am dealing with enough grief at that point. Later in the day, we all return home. My dad is still sitting motionless on the couch staring into the room. His girlfriend gets up to use the bathroom, and he then turns to me with tears in his eyes and drops the bomb on me as well. "We broke up, but I don't want to talk about it right now." Clearly, he was trying to keep this announcement a secret from his now ex, since he waited to tell me until she left the room. In that moment, I can't take it anymore. I glare at him and tell him, "I cannot handle this right now, and I think you need to leave. Don't contact me." I needed my dad that day. My mom passed away some time ago, and my husband's parents live halfway across the world. I needed my dad more than I had ever needed him, and instead of embracing me, telling me he loves me, telling me he loves our son and comforting me, he is lost in his own grief over his freaking breakup. I don't even know if a single tear that day was shed for my son. At the same time, I can't help but feel bad for him. But couldn't he have waited a couple of days to tell me about this? Why did I need to know it on that day? I'm probably just an a-hole, I really don't know, but I needed to vent it out. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Had your dad always been like this? Between how he behaved on the phone and how he behaved at the hospital, your dad strikes me as a very selfish person. I think that you were well within your rights to tell your dad to leave and to not contact you. I'm sorry for your loss. We have a very, very strained relationship. When I lost my mom as a teenager, he also engulfed himself in grief and forgot to care for his 4 kids. I had to arrange my mom's funeral because he couldn't handle it. He never once asked how his kids were doing, never once checked in on us. I resonate with your story. I lost my mother when I was a teenager, and I have finally, at age 30, cut out my chaotic, emotionally absent, and at times, highly abusive father. Never felt so free. A father like that is not worth your time and energy. You don't owe him anything, and he will give you nothing but grief. Be proud you have put up boundaries and keep your head up high, as you have done nothing wrong. This time is needed to look after yourself and grieve after the loss of your dear child. Stay strong. They broke up and still came to the hospital together, probably because the ex has a heart and wanted to be there for you in a small way. Perhaps. She is genuinely a really sweet person, and she has been there for my son more than my dad ever has, so it could be her wanting to be there and support us. Now for the mini update. My dad called today, 4 times. I did not want to talk to him, so I asked my husband if he could do it. I was genuinely afraid something had happened. My dad spent 30 seconds asking how we are, and then the conversation immediately turned into him complaining about his now ex. When he started telling my husband about how he has already signed up for a dating site because now he needs to find a new girlfriend, my husband just hung up. My dad then called my grandmother and complained about how difficult I was being during his visit at the hospital because I didn't ask why he was so sad. I have blocked my dad from every possible contact, and I will never let him near my family again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex's mom I'm pregnant at almost 7 months? Plus update. I, 23 female, and ex-Leo, 25 male, have stopped talking after revealing to his mom that I'm 6 months pregnant when he said he won't be coming to the birth. To give a little backstory, I have been involved with Leo for a little over 5 years now, 3.5 years of actually dating, and 1.5 years being broken up, but trying to fix our relationship and ultimately working on ourselves, careers, mental health, etc. He was my first love, the first person I brought home to my parents, and ultimately someone I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. In January 2024, I was diagnosed with endometriosis after dealing with constant back pain, stomach pain, paralyzing menstrual periods, and severe migraines for years. It has been a lot to digest as it's incurable and can spread to other organs, not to mention the fertility issues that come with this diagnosis, which were just as hard. Fast forward to April 2025. I found out I was pregnant. I was in shock, to say the least. I told Leo, who was shocked also but reassured me he would support me after discussing our options moving forward. This was a huge responsibility, and we're young and still have so much to achieve, places to visit, etc. I really needed to think about everything, as this wasn't a decision I could make overnight. I made appointments to discuss termination and kept him involved. After many sleepless nights, praying, planning, and advice from family and friends, I decided I'm going ahead with the pregnancy. Despite my diagnosis and situation with Leo, this baby is a blessing. However, Leo turned cold and was no longer caring or supportive, and he told me he didn't want to be involved. This was obviously hard to hear, and after a few arguments, I decided to leave things alone to avoid stressing myself or the baby. Plus, the first few months of pregnancy were hard as I had severe morning sickness. In the midst of essentially preparing to be a single mom and having a really horrible pregnancy experience, Leo reached out to discuss how he didn't want to be an absent dad. And because I'm hormonal and gullible, I believed him and was happy about having a family unit. But then Leo ghosted me for weeks with the excuse that he's busy working, plus home stress, and he hasn't had time to check up on me. At the end of July, he reached out once again, and this time we had a long conversation, which ended with him telling me how much he loves and cares for me, and that he will support me emotionally and financially. We reconciled, chose names, talked about throwing a baby shower, appointment dates, and things I've bought and need to buy. Fast forward to now, I'm 6 months pregnant and currently doing my birthing plan with my midwife. I texted Leo to ask if he'll be at the birth, as I remembered he mentioned having a holiday booked around the baby's due date. Leo quote-unquote said cannot confirm nor deny, which left me a bit confused because the last serious conversation we had was that he was going to be present, so surely missing the birth conflicts with that. Leo also then proceeded to tell me that he will be away for the whole month, so not only will he miss the birth of our child, but also the first month of their life. I think this was my final straw. When I look at my pregnancy, it has honestly been a horrible experience. I've cried for so many nights wondering if I've made the right decisions, why this even had to happen, which makes me feel guilty because I love my baby. The constant stress from Leo, dealing with the fear of disappointment and shame for being a single mom, and just being extremely lonely. I knew Leo hadn't told his parents, and at this point, I don't want Leo around at all. But I also don't want to deny my child the chance to know their extended family. So I met up with his mom and told her the news. She was shocked, upset, and disappointed, and felt kind of robbed of the experience of her first grandchild as Leo hadn't told her. But she also expressed how she's excited to meet her grandchild and wants to more than support me with the baby shower and being at the birth. She also debunked a lot of lies that Leo told me, which were just excuses to not take responsibility. Now, it wasn't my intention to hurt Leo or cause any animosity between his parents, which his mom assured me there wouldn't be. But I felt like I've exhausted all options and keep having the same conversation with Leo that leads nowhere. A part of me feels relief because my baby gets the chance to know their extended family, but I still feel the same, sad, alone, unloved. I feel like I've caused irreversible damage to the relationship, or situationship, with Leo. Leo said he'll never speak to me again for telling his mom, and that he doesn't care about me at all. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. I don't care what your intentions were when you told her. That's your baby's grandparent. They have a right to know. Leo is a waste of space. He was just going to keep playing you to keep you off his back. Now he can't play you or his mother anymore. Make sure he pays child support. Don't let his mother pick up the tab, but let her enjoy being a grandma. Screw Leo. You're not the a-hole. Agreed. OP needs to accept being a single mom and try to make those relationships with his family, but try to keep from emotionally investing in Leo because he's trash and seems to just be stringing her along. Not the a-hole. Where are your parents? Focus on making your home now. Prepare for the baby coming. Get enough sleep. Eat well. Practice self-care. It's you and your little one now. Bless you. You're gonna be a great mom and you chose this baby. My parents are involved and very supportive. I definitely will, thank you. You're gonna do great. Please keep us updated. Mini update. Thank you so much for all the comments and taking the time to read my story. I've taken everything on board and am making steps to prepare, which is going well so far. I forgot to mention both of my parents are super involved, and so are my family and friends. So I'm super grateful. Maybe it's the hormones, but I really wanted baby, I don't know their gender yet, to have their dad and paternal family, as family is so important to me. Also, I'm from London, so I will definitely look up UK laws. I definitely see now he's been stringing me along, and that there is no possibility of having what we once had. I was 18 when we got together, so it's been hard to let go, but I love my baby way more than that. Thank you everyone, and I'll keep you posted with what happens. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that if I waited for her to make memories with our son, we wouldn't have any? Last weekend, I, 39 male, helped my son, 14 male, dye his hair purple. Or my good friend who actually knew what he was doing helped dye my son's hair while I was there for music requests and object fetching. It was such a fun day, and I could tell how happy it made my boy. I didn't tell my wife before we did this, and that was the catalyst to the fight we're currently having. But for me, it's so much more than this one incident. My wife has been hands-off with our child for a while now. His soccer games, little road trips to nearby amusement parks, back-to-school shopping, she's too busy with work or too tired from work. So, I've mostly just stopped having the conversations. Why would I waste my breath to have the same conversations on repeat? The night we dyed his hair, she started crying while we were talking, saying we were making all of these memories without her. I asked her what she expected me to do. If we waited for her to make memories, we would be sitting in a dark room 100% of the time. My son isn't even really comfortable with her anymore. There is no, I can't take you, go ask your mom. Now it's, I'm sorry I can't take you. Let me see if friend is free that day. My wife isn't speaking to me now, and I'm wondering if I took it too far. I don't know. I was hoping some brutal honesty would change something. I would have loved having more kids, but I guess it's for the best now that she said no. Edit. I'm a stay-at-home dad. The original plan was for me to start working again when our son went to kindergarten, but my wife was gunning for a promotion around that time and asked me to stay home longer. Once she got the promotion, her hours increased, so that time was extended once again. I am responsible for all the household chores and general homemaking tasks. I cook, clean, do all the yard work, all the grocery shopping, etc. I do enjoy being a stay-at-home dad, but I've been ready and willing to rejoin the workforce for a decade now. At this point, I will be getting a job when my son turns 16 and can get himself to and from school. But my wife still refuses to cut her hours even if I get a job and gets frustrated every time I bring it up. There's no point in me forcing my son to ride the bus or figure out a ride for himself if my wife still won't make the effort or compromise in order to spend time with him. Not the a-hole. At least you're there for your son. He deserves at least one of you to remember he exists. How true. One day they're 4, and the next they're both graduating university. Blink of an eye. So glad I was there for the majority of it all, and why I still have an amazing relationship with both my adult children. My son just turned 10 last week. 10. He's now riding his bike on his own to and from school and is loving the independence. But he's also still sharing so much of what's in his head with me, and he confides in me when he's feeling insecure, nervous, or unsure of something. He doesn't do this with his dad in any measure near what he does with me. Who goes to say goodnight, sleep well, and I love you every single night with rare exception? I do. Who sends memes and chats back and forth in the family chat? He and I do. Who remembers every birthday and even celebrated his favorite Teddy's birthday too for years because he said when he was little that 8 September was his birthday? Husband does none of this, nor does he really have his own rituals with our son to create these bonds. I am not looking forward to the shocked Pikachu face in a few years when our kids have no interest in spending time with their dad as adults. You're the a-hole a little bit here. You're the stay-at-home parent and she's out working full-time. She's taking the load of the financial responsibility for the family. You're supposed to be partners. If she's overwhelmed and overworked, isn't the appropriate conversation, "How can I help?" rather than chastising her for not being there? I know there will be someone who will say, "Oh, you wouldn't say that if the genders were reversed." But yeah, I would. Your son is 14 now. He doesn't need daycare that costs the earth. Get a part-time job, step up, and share some of the family responsibilities. I swear someone needs to sit down the entire group of Reddit users and tell them that relationships shouldn't be this hard. You're supposed to be there for each other. Ugh, I'm putting myself in a Reddit timeout for the day. I'm done with the weirdness of people. I was gonna say, as a stay-at-home mom, I immediately was wondering if he was the stay-at-home parent. My child isn't this old. We're still in toddlerhood, but I feel like it's so easy to let your mind and feelings drift too. I make all the memories with my child, spouse doesn't. Anytime I catch myself doing this, I reset and remind myself I couldn't make these memories if I was also working and without the security my spouse provides. I get to manage experiences and set us both up for fun times, and he makes sure we have the means to do so. I also take a step back and make sure to ask myself if I need something. Do I need a break? Is my toddler actually feeling disconnected from dad, or do they miss my spouse? The trade-offs in life balance when one parent works and one doesn't are hard to see if you don't try to see the other person. I hope this guy figures it out, because it's a really cool thing to be there for your kid, but you gotta not make the other parent the bad guy. Always you two versus the problem. Also, I can't wait for my kid to be old enough so I can go back to work part-time. I miss talking to adults and having normal adult conversations.